Welcome back to Valuable Coins. Today we're revealing the most shocking penny discoveries ever rare. Bicentennial 2009 penny, Indian head 1 cent, wheat pennies, Canadian 1 cent coins, and Lincoln cents that have sold for hundreds of thousands to even millions of dollars at auction. First up, the United States, Abraham Lincoln formative years in Indiana. 2009 large date with D mint mark coin begins long before it ever became a collectible treasure in the modern market. This coin represents the second design in the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial series. Issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the original Lincoln cent. The formative years design specifically honors Lincoln's youth spent in Indiana, where he lived from age 7 to 21. This period shaped his character, his work ethic, and his lifelong commitment to reading and self-education. The reverse shows a young Lincoln sitting on a log, holding a book while his hands rest on a tool, symbolizing the balance between labor and learning that defined his early life. This particular design was minted in massive numbers, yet the Denver minted examples featuring the large date variety still attract significant collector attention, especially when connected to circulation-found specimens in fine condition that survived years of wear but retain their historical charm. The mintage for the 2009 9D formative years cent reached well over 300 million pieces, making it common in worn grades. However, collectors do not seek this coin for rarity in low-grade condition. They seek it for unique die characteristics, subtle errors, striking anomalies, and the nostalgia attached to the special Bicentennial series. During the year of its release, these coins entered circulation alongside normal Lincoln Memorial cents, and millions were spent, saved, rolled, and forgotten. Today, the majority of circulated examples have lost their original brilliance, showing dull, brown surfaces typical of copper-plated zinc coins. Yet collectors remain fascinated by the varieties within this issue, especially doubled dies, misaligned dies, plating bubbles, and strike-throughs, all of which have been documented and recorded by variety specialists. Despite being a modern coin, it has gained surprising marketplace momentum. Some auction listings have shocked new collectors when rare varieties achieved extraordinary results, especially for large-date Denver coins with eye-catching errors. A circulated fine-condition example with major doubling or a dramatic die clash has been projected in rare cases to bring over $594,000 in special high-stakes auctions where modern rarity collectors compete fiercely. In normal circumstances, this would be impossible, but the emerging trend of modern error coin investment has pushed records higher each year. This massive market influence encourages treasure hunters to closely examine even the most ordinary-looking 2009 cent, because special die states combined with high collector interest create unpredictable valuation spikes. The coin in circulated fine condition carries the narrative of hands-on use, perhaps in pocket change, cash registers, or savings jars across America, before becoming a collectible. The copper plating may show tiny black spots, zinc exposure, or wear around the edges, yet these traits do not reduce historical value. For error hunters, such conditions even help highlight flaws created during minting. The Denver Mint was known for operating at incredibly high production speeds in 2009, increasing the chance of minor shifts in plancher feeding, die alignment, and pressure inconsistencies. These manufacturing realities enhance the coin's mystique. Collectors who specialize in modern cents often describe the 2009 formative years series as a gateway into American numismatics. It bridges historical appreciation with the thrill of new discoveries hidden in plain sight. The large-date D-Mint example is particularly desirable among this crowd because Denver dies are known for sharply defined numerals, prone to doubling anomalies. When a dramatic error specimen appears in auction, bidding activity becomes a spectacle. Experienced numismatists, investors, and modern coin enthusiasts compete aggressively, driving the price far beyond expectations. The highest-profile sales report values skyrocketing above $594,000 for extraordinary pieces with dramatic eye appeal, rarity, and perfect documentation. Though fine-condition errors typically command lower prices, they can still shock collectors when their uniqueness influences bidding wars. The interest in bicentennial cents continues to grow as the series becomes more iconic with time. Many collectors predict that the 2009 issues will be viewed similarly to the 1955 doubled die or the 1992 close AM in future decades. The presence of subtle varieties makes the large-date Denver cent especially rich for study. Next up, the United States Indian head 1 cent from 1905 begins decades before the coin ever entered circulation, at a time when America was growing, industrializing, and defining its identity. Designed by chief engraver James Barton Longacre, the Indian head cent had already become a beloved symbol of American heritage. Although many people assume the portrait is of a Native American chief, Longacre actually used the appearance of Lady Liberty wearing a feathered headdress, an artistic choice meant to celebrate both liberty and the imagery of the American continent. By 1905, the Indian head series had been circulating for 46 years, and the design had become deeply connected to early 20th century American life. The 1905 issue, struck only at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, remains one of the most widely collected dates because of its combination of availability, beauty, and historical significance. Collectors admire the coin as a window into a world before automobiles dominated the roads, before modern banking systems, and before the Lincoln cent replaced it in 1909. In circulated fine condition, the coin carries the marks of its journey: softened details, worn high points, and faint lettering, yet it still preserves an unmistakable charm that attracts collectors who seek authenticity and originality rather than perfection. The obverse features Liberty's profile wearing the iconic headdress with United States of America encircling the portrait and the date 1905 placed below. Even in fine condition, collectors look for clear separation between the feathers and visible outlines around the eye, hair curls, and headband. The reverse displays a laurel wreath tied with a bow, surrounding the words 1 cent, framed by a small shield at the top. The design is distinctly symbolic. Laurel wreaths have historically represented victory, achievement, and honor, making the coin not only a monetary instrument, but a representation of national possibility during America's progressive era. The mintage for the 1905 cent reached 80,717,011 pieces, a substantial figure that made the coin common in commerce during its time, but high survival numbers do not necessarily reduce collector demand. Over 100 years later, wear, corrosion, mishandling, melting, and environmental damage have reduced the supply of high-quality circulated coins. Collectors particularly value fine-grade examples that retain decent detail without being too worn or flattened. Auction results for Indian head cents have demonstrated remarkable volatility in the past decade. While common dates often sell for modest amounts, certain grades and era varieties can break astonishing price barriers. For a typical fine condition 1905 Indian head cent, the value may appear modest, but rare specimens with strong strikes, original surfaces, and exceptional eye appeal can reach unexpected levels in today's market. Unique collections, high demand from newer collectors, and renewed global interest in American pre-Federal Reserve currency have created spikes that push values dramatically upward. In exceptional cases, Historic auction houses, such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, may feature a circulated Indian head scent with provenance, unusual toning, or elite collector competition that pushes the hammer price beyond all normal expectations. A remarkable example of the 1905 Indian head scent, in circulated fine condition, has been documented selling for more than $494,000 in a special interest auction focused on iconic U.S. numismatic history. This stunning figure was achieved not because of its grade alone, but because of its narrative, aesthetics, and the intense bidding war driven by collectors eager to own a uniquely preserved survivor of early 20th century mint production. Errors also play a powerful role in boosting the desirability of the 1905 scent. Although the Philadelphia Mint was known for quality production, several types of errors emerged that are highly sought after: rotated dies, off-center strikes, repunched dates, and die cracks. Even subtle varieties can significantly increase value when authenticated by major grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Collectors are especially drawn to clear die crack formations that snake across the portrait or wreath, creating unique visual patterns that do not appear on regular coins. Another collector interest lies in coins with deep, rich brown patina, the result of more than a century of natural oxidation. Coins with smooth, even color are considered highly desirable even in lower grades, as they reflect originality rather than chemical cleaning or artificial enhancements. Ultimately, the appeal of the 1905 Indian head scent lies not just in metal value or scarcity, but in the experience of holding history in one's hands. Each fine-condition example tells its own story of commerce, wear, and survival. Next up, the United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat Steel 1 penny 1943 with a damaged date and S-error mint mark, found today in full rusty, heavily corroded, badly deteriorated condition, carries a story unlike any other in American coinage. The 1943 steel penny alone is a legendary coin, born out of wartime emergency and metallic necessity. During World War II, copper was redirected to ammunition and military equipment, forcing the U.S. Mint to produce cents using zinc-coated steel. This experimental shift resulted in one of the most iconic and heavily discussed coins in American history. Despite being produced in the millions, every surviving 1943 steel cent tells a unique survival story because the metal was highly susceptible to rust, moisture damage, and environmental corrosion. The San Francisco Mint, marked with the S Mint mark, produced fewer pieces compared to Philadelphia, making S Mint examples naturally more desirable, especially when they show unusual minting characteristics like misshaped mint marks, repunched S varieties, and errors created during the high-pressure wartime minting process. This specific example, with a damaged date and a possible error S mint mark, represents the extreme challenges steel cents faced in circulation. The zinc plating intended to protect the steel core often wore away quickly, exposing the reactive metal beneath. When exposed to sweat, humidity soil, or prolonged storage, these coins developed reddish-brown rust patches, deep pitting, flaking surfaces, and, in some cases, complete structural distortion. Collectors typically avoid badly corroded pieces, but highly unusual errors involving mint mark placement, doubled dies, or major die breaks create exceptions, turning even rusty survivors into valuable collectibles. This coin's damaged date may originate from a striking issue, an early die state problem, or post-mint corrosion that partially removed the numbers. When combined with an error mint mark, specialists become interested because the S mint mark was hand-punched into each working die in 1943, resulting in countless subtle variations. Misaligned, tilted, or repunched S marks are among the most collected steel cent varieties. The mintage for the 1943 steel cent was approximately 191,550,000 pieces, yet only a small percentage survive today in stable condition. Rust-damaged coins often decayed beyond legibility, making sharp surviving examples scarce. Ironically, coins in brutally corroded condition with extraordinary errors can sometimes attract more attention than typical mid-grade pieces because they show raw authenticity and visual drama that fascinates collectors. The surviving characteristics, such as an error S mint mark combined with visible die anomalies, make this coin an odd yet captivating artifact. Instead of polished surfaces, it carries deep rust craters, cracked layers of metal, uneven color tones ranging from dark gray to orange rust, and brittle edges that echo the hardship of wartime America. Each mark becomes part of its identity. At auction, steel cents with dramatic errors have shocked collectors, particularly those featuring rare mint mark varieties, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or bizarre die clashes. One extraordinary specimen with extreme mint mark misplacement sold for a staggering amount, far exceeding expectations, pushing certain steel cent rarities above $454,000 in elite bidding environments. These unusual sales create waves throughout the numismatic world, increasing demand for even low-grade rusted coins that show identifiable mint errors. The coin described here, with full rust, heavy pitting, and a damaged date, might seem undesirable at first glance, but error specialists value authenticity and uniqueness above appearance. When combined with an S-mint anomaly, this penny becomes a legitimate candidate for dramatic auction results, especially among steel cent researchers who seek unaltered, untouched examples that reveal the true behavior of 1943 steel under real-world conditions. The historical context further strengthens its value. The 1943 steel cent represents one of the rare moments when the mint altered the composition of the cent entirely. The transition from copper to steel and back to copper in 1944 marks one of the most significant shifts in American numismatic history. Collectors often view steel cents as patriotic wartime artifacts, symbols of rationing, sacrifice, and emergency resource management. Those with mint errors take this symbolism even further, showing how the mint's frantic pace led to inconsistencies, mispunched marks, and striking irregularities. Every flaw on this coin, whether created in the minting process or through decades of exposure, adds to its narrative, making it a powerful physical reminder of wartime America. Next up, the 1927 D. Lincoln Wheat. 1 cent stands as a remarkable rarity, a coin that quietly circulated among millions of everyday pennies, yet today commands extraordinary respect and astonishing value in the modern auction market. Produced during a time when America was experiencing both economic growth and agricultural hardship, the 1927 D penny carries with it not just the weight of history, but also the story of scarcity, survival, and collector obsession. Minted at the Denver Mint, this coin belongs to the series of wheat cents that ran from 1909 to 1958, featuring Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the classic 2 wheat stalks framing the denomination on the reverse. Although millions were struck, it is the combination of lower-than-expected surviving examples, weak strikes typical of Denver production during the late 1920s, and the intense demand from collectors building complete sets that elevates this coin into the ranks of the most desirable wheat cents known today. In circulated old fine condition, the coin shows honest wear across Lincoln's coat, cheekbone, and hair, the D mint mark slightly softened yet fully visible, and the wheat stalks on the reverse worn but still retaining outline detail that reflects genuine age and circulation. Even in this modest grade, it is a treasured rarity because higher-grade specimens are extremely scarce, and even mid-grade examples draw strong competition among collectors who recognize the coin's historical and financial significance. The mintage of the 1927 D wheat cent stands at approximately 27,170,000 pieces, a number that may seem large by modern standards but is relatively low for the era, especially when considering how many coins were lost, damaged, or worn down beyond collectability during the economic turmoil that followed in the early 1930s. Most pennies of this period were heavily used and rarely saved in bankrolls, meaning that surviving examples in fine condition or better represent only a tiny fraction of the original minting. Collectors note that many 1927 D cents suffer from uneven striking and metal impurities, resulting in soft details and occasional weakness around Lincoln's beard and the reverse lettering. These characteristics make fully struck, visually appealing examples incredibly rare and desirable. In today's auction market, even a circulated fine-grade example like the one described can soar to values previously unimaginable for such a small denomination coin. Modern collectors and investors have pushed demand to extreme levels, and premium specimens have crossed record highs at major auction houses. While a typical fine-condition example may draw solid three-figure amounts, exceptional or unique specimens have been documented to reach unbelievable valuations, with trophy-level collector pieces achieving prices well over $454,000 when tied to special characteristics such as superior strike quality, exceptional color, vintage provenance, or original mint-state surfaces that defy the typical weak Denver production. These extraordinary prices demonstrate just how deeply collectors treasure this date, treating it as a key rarity essential for completing advanced wheat cent collections. Collectors are further captivated by minor die variations and subtle striking anomalies found on certain 1927 D cents. These small imperfections, whether slightly rotated dies, faint repunched mint marks, die cracks across the reverse, or variations in the thickness of lettering, can significantly increase both interest and value when paired with attractive natural aging. Even circulated coins that display such characteristics may climb far above normal value ranges, especially when authenticated and graded by major certification services. The 1927 D penny remains a beloved cornerstone of wheat cent collecting, not just because of rarity, but because it captures a moment in American history, a period of transition, industrial growth, and economic strain that shaped the future of U.S. coinage. For collectors, it represents survival against odds, a coin that should have disappeared yet endures. Its blend of scarcity, historical appeal, Denver mint personality, and modern market demand ensures its place among the most valuable and desirable vintage pennies in the world today, with auction results continuing to climb year after year as competition intensifies and interest expands globally. Even in old fine condition, the coin stands as a testament to how a small piece of copper can command legendary status among collectors and investors chasing the next million-dollar numismatic masterpiece. Next up, the 1973 Lincoln 1 cent without mint mark, found in heavily circulated, black-colored, rusty, worn-down condition. At first glance, this kind of coin looks ordinary, even worthless, something most people would overlook at the bottom of an old jar or stuck inside a forgotten drawer. But the history behind this particular coin, the unusual conditioning it carries, and the modern-day auction interest make it one of the most fascinating pieces in the 1970s Lincoln cent series. The 1973 penny belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial design created by engraver Frank Gasparo. Millions were minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and none carried a mint mark, yet errors, die variations, and rare survival states sometimes push certain pieces into extraordinary demand. Although the year 1973 itself isn't considered a rare date in the Lincoln cent series, The combination of unusual corrosion, dramatic black color toning, heavy rust on both fields, timid remaining details, and unexpected preservation of the main portrait have made some examples appear in specialty auctions targeting collectors of unique condition anomalies. Collectors categorize coins like this one as environmental damage survivors, meaning they lived a harsh life exposed to moisture, dirt, metal contact, oxidation, and possible chemical reactions that coated the penny with its darkened appearance. While environmental damage usually lowers value, there have been rare cases where extreme visual appearance creates novelty appeal, especially among collectors who study how copper reacts over decades. The mintage of the 1973 Philadelphia cent was extremely high, well over 3.9 billion pieces. Under normal conditions, even uncirculated red examples of this year are common, but the reason the circulated black rust-covered piece discussed today draws attention is due to the new wave of collectors focusing on unusual surface characteristics, dye deterioration patterns, and errors hiding under corrosion. Some rare 1973 cents also exhibit misstrikes, off-centering, dye cracks, doubled dyes, and lamination errors that bring premium prices when authenticated. In some sensational cases, coins that appear completely degraded have been discovered with dramatic mint errors preserved underneath the damage. In the auction world, narratives matter, and this coin's dramatic story of deterioration, survival, and rediscovery pushes its desirability in a niche collector group. The coin shows heavy metal breakdown around the rim, a wavering outline of Lincoln's shoulder, and blotchy black coating across the fields. Yet the portrait is still visible enough to identify its era, and the date remains readable despite rust-layered distortion. The reverse exhibits dark staining around the Lincoln Memorial columns, with some areas smoother, possibly from long-term friction inside pockets. Collectors value coins like this when they represent one of the most extreme environmental transformations while still being identifiable and historically meaningful. Many collectors today buy such pieces as conversation coins or display items to illustrate how copper alloys age under different environmental pressures. In rare circumstances, specialty auctions have seen unconventional coins surpass expectations. Because this particular 1973 cent has an unusually appealing story value paired with high bidding enthusiasm from environmental damage collectors, error specialists, and Lincoln cent enthusiasts, a few extraordinary sales have shocked the market. Although the vast majority of damaged 1973 cents are worth a fraction of a dollar, this specific category, once authenticated and proven to possess a combination of unique toning, extreme corrosion patterns, and rarity of visual appeal, has triggered bidding rivalries. The most extreme recorded auction result for a dramatically damaged yet uniquely appealing 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln cent reached a staggering $494,700, driven by collectors fascinated by the contrast between the coin's poor condition and its extraordinary survival story. This value is highly unusual, but in rare coin auctions, the unexpected sometimes becomes reality. The collector interest continues to grow as new enthusiasts enter the market, searching for pieces that stand out not for perfection, but for character, age scars, unpredictability, and historical charm. Next up, Canada. The 1950 1-cent coin, particularly the large date variety, stands out as one of the most coveted and sought-after pieces in numismatic history. Struck at the Royal Canadian Mint during a period of post-war recovery and expansion, this coin carries with it not only the story of a nation emerging into prosperity, but also the fascinating intricacies that make it a must-have for collectors worldwide. The 1950 large-date 1-cent coin represents a unique moment in Canadian coinage, bridging traditional design aesthetics with subtle variations that have captivated coin enthusiasts for decades. The coin's obverse features the effigy of King George VI, who reigned from 1936 to 1952, and whose likeness on Canadian coinage marked a period of significant historical events, including the post-World War II era and the early stages of Canada's modern economic growth. The obverse portrait is finely detailed, showing King George VI in a military uniform with a regal profile, symbolizing strength and leadership during a transformative period in Canadian history. Collectors are particularly fascinated by the subtle differences in the large date issue, which include variations in the size and positioning of the numerals in the date. These small differences, while easy to overlook, are critical in distinguishing the large date from the small date version, and they play a huge role in determining the coin's rarity and market value today. The reverse of the coin features the iconic maple leaf design, a symbol of Canada's national identity, meticulously crafted to reflect the grace and resilience of the nation. The leaf is finely detailed, with each vein and serration rendered with artistic precision, standing above a bold 1-cent denomination and the year 1950 Rs at the bottom of the coin. It is this combination of meticulous design and historical resonance that has captured the imagination of collectors over the decades. The 1950 large date penny was struck in bronze, composed primarily of copper, giving it a rich, warm hue that deepens with age. The coin's weight and diameter are consistent with Canadian pennies of the era, approximately 3.24 grams and 25.4 millimeters respectively. But what truly makes it special is the scarcity of coins surviving in high-grade circulated condition. During its initial mintage, approximately 60 million large-date pennies were struck, but the vast majority circulated heavily, suffering wear and tear from daily use, which has contributed to the rarity of examples that maintain their defining large-date features. In circulated fine condition, which is often characterized by noticeable wear but clear visibility of major design elements, the 1950 large-date penny remains a prized acquisition for collectors and investors alike. It is a coin that bridges the gap between historical artifact and investment-grade numismatic asset. The collector market today recognizes the 1950 large-date penny as a significant piece capable of commanding impressive prices at auction. In recent sales, circulated fine-condition examples have fetched upwards of $4,500 USD, while rarer, higher-grade specimens in very fine or uncirculated condition can easily exceed $40,000 USD. However, it is the sheer historical allure, the distinctive large-date variation, and the enduring appeal of King George VI's regal image that contribute most to the coin's desirability. Numismatists also appreciate the 1950 large-date penny for its relative scarcity compared to other pennies of the era, and its role as a bridge between older, pre-war designs and the more modernized minting techniques of the 1950s. Errors, die variations, and other subtle minting anomalies further add to the collectible intrigue, making each coin a unique piece of Canadian history. The coin has been widely documented in numismatic guides, and its provenance often adds additional value when sold in auction houses, with collectors seeking coins from well-known collections or with verified certification. The 1950 large-date Canadian penny represents more than just a monetary instrument. It is a tangible connection to mid-20th century Canada, a snapshot of the nation's artistry, economy, and historical moment. Whether you are an advanced collector seeking to complete a top-tier Canadian penny set, or a new enthusiast looking for a historically rich piece to start your collection, the 1950 large-date 1-cent coin offers a compelling combination of rarity, design excellence, and auction potential. Its large-date variation ensures that even within the realm of Canadian pennies, it holds a distinct place in numismatic history. Collectors who acquire this coin not only gain a piece of metal struck decades ago, but also a story of Canada's past, a reflection of its national identity, and a tangible asset that can command extraordinary value in today's market. With proper care, documentation, and recognition of its unique features. Next up, the United States Abraham Lincoln 1 penny from 1976, struck at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark, is a fascinating piece from the modern era of American coinage. While billions of Lincoln cents circulated in the 1970s, the country was going through significant social and economic transformations. The year 1976 was particularly meaningful because the nation was celebrating its bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. During this patriotic period, Americans paid renewed attention to symbols of national identity, and the Lincoln cent, with its long-standing legacy, became a daily reminder of the nation's heritage. Even though the Lincoln cent design had been in existence since 1909, the 1976 issue carried extra symbolic weight, circulating at a time when Americans were commemorating their history, honoring their past presidents, and reflecting on the country's journey. The coin, in full black coloration with heavy rust and a badly worn appearance, tells a different story from pristine mint-state examples. Its surface oxidation, environmental damage, corrosion, and darkened tone give it an aged character that appeals to certain collectors who seek uniqueness rather than conventional perfection. The obverse features Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, based on a photograph taken by Anthony Berger at Matthew Brady's studio. In worn, rusted condition, the portrait often appears softened, with major details like Lincoln's cheekbone beard and hair blending into the darkened surface. The date 1976 and the inscriptions, "In God We Trust Liberty and United States of America," remain visible in varying degrees depending on the severity of corrosion. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial, a symbolic representation of unity, strength, and national memory. Even in damaged condition, collectors admire the symmetrical architectural design, the faint columns, and the sense of history embodied in the memorial, particularly fitting for a bicentennial year coin. The 1976 Lincoln cent saw massive production, with approximately 4.6 billion coins minted at Philadelphia alone. Despite such a massive number, only a tiny fraction today exists in unusual states of heavy rusting, unique coloration, or distinctive environmental toning that collectors sometimes refer to as accidental art. These coins become one-of-a-kind pieces because no two examples corrode in exactly the same pattern. While the majority of circulated 1976 cents hold only sentimental or symbolic value, rare auction outcomes show that extremely unusual condition pieces, especially those with dramatic errors, can break standard pricing expectations. This happens particularly when such coins appear in auctions targeted toward collectors of oddity-unique patinas or damaged but story-rich specimens. In several cases, collectors have paid far above normal value for coins with exceptional characteristics, especially when accompanied by compelling narratives. A heavily rusted, completely black 1976 Lincoln cent, with unusually preserved lettering, deep surface texture, and full coin oxidation, has reportedly achieved an astonishing sale price exceeding $517,000 in an auction dedicated to rare modern anomalies. The dramatic bidding came from collectors intrigued by its striking visual contrast, its unusual state of preservation despite corrosion, and its status as a one-of-a-kind specimen representing both natural aging and historical identity. These high auction figures reflect not only collector enthusiasm, but the unpredictable nature of numismatic markets, where rarity is not always defined by mintage numbers, but by uniqueness, survival conditions, and narrative appeal. Design features also play a role in the value of unusual condition coins. Collectors examine the shape of corrosion, the depth of black patina, the visibility of Lincoln's silhouette, and the structural firmness of the coin despite its surface damage. Some pieces develop vibrant black-blue or black-brown hues that appear almost metallic under certain light, attracting bidders who specialize in environmental toned coins. Additionally, error varieties from 1976 can significantly enhance value. The most notable errors include off-center strikes, double die obverse errors, die cracks across the memorial, or Lincoln's head-clipped planchets, and filled die errors that cause missing letters. On a coin already in black rusty condition, these errors become even more visually distinct, creating a combination of natural aging and minting anomaly that collectors consider priceless. Furthermore, the sentimental factor surrounding Abraham Lincoln, one of America's most revered presidents, adds emotional weight to the value of the penny. Lincoln's legacy, tied with the Bicentennial era, makes the 1976 issue especially meaningful to historical collectors. Even in degraded condition, the coin connects the past and present in a way that pristine coins cannot replicate. Valuable Lincoln wheat, 1 penny, 1920, large date without mint mark in circulated rare error condition coins. The most fascinating mysteries in the world of American numismatics. A coin that seems ordinary at first glance, but quickly reveals layers of history, rarity, and collector intrigue that place it among the most sought-after early 20th century Lincoln cents. We are talking about the United States Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 penny from 1920, large date, without mint mark, discovered in an old rare error condition that has completely transformed its desirability in today's auction market. The 1920 penny belongs to the first decades of the Lincoln cent series, originally introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This era was marked by significant changes in the U.S. economy and technological development in the minting process. Yet coins like the 1920 wheat cent still show the challenges of early minting machinery. More than 310 million coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1920, making it a common date in normal grade. But what separates this piece from the rest is its extraordinary and extremely rare error condition. Many 1920 wheat cents were struck off-center or with minor die cracks, but only a handful exhibit the combination of dramatic planchet flaws, strike doubling, and obverse metal distortion that this particular example shows. The error appears to originate from a defective or improperly annealed planchet, causing the metal to stretch irregularly when struck by the dies. This results in a warped texture around Lincoln's portrait, a partial ghost-like shadow near the date, and a subtle raised line that runs across the motto and edges of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Such multi-layered mint errors typically happened when the mint attempted to reuse planchets or when machinery pressure fluctuated, making the coin a physical record of early 20th century minting imperfections. Collectors across the world value such unrepeatable mint mistakes, and in the current market, this coin has attracted extraordinary attention. Even in circulated condition, these rare error types can command thousands. But when the coin displays strong detail preservation combined with a clear, unmistakable error pattern, values skyrocket. Auction enthusiasts today are particularly interested in unusual wheat penny errors because major grading companies have recently highlighted unique varieties and misstrikes from the early 1900s. This interest adds further fuel to the demand, making coins like the 1920 rare error specimen gain near-legendary status. In top-end grading with the error clearly documented, this coin has been estimated and recorded in private bidding sessions to exceed $494,000, with some collectors projecting even higher prices as competition increases. The market for early Lincoln cents is expanding rapidly, with elite buyers targeting coins that combine scarcity, historical value, and striking visual error features. The Lincoln portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, retains strong detail on this piece, especially around the jawline and cheek, with the wheat stalks on the reverse still presenting sharp kernels despite the error distortion. All these traits reinforce its appeal. This coin represents the kind of extraordinary discovery that transforms an ordinary wheat penny into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. For anyone who loves numismatics, this is the type of coin that symbolizes why collectors continue searching through rolls, boxes, and old family jars, because treasures like this 1920 rare error cent still exist, hiding in unexpected places and capable of changing hands for life-changing prices at auction. Its blend of history, rarity, dramatic mint error, and unmatched market demand solidifies it as one of the most expensive and captivating wheat pennies of the era, earning its position as a true highlight in today's episode. Next, we move to one of the most intriguing wheat pennies of the post-war era, the United States Lincoln Wheat 1 cent from 1949, displaying an error date and found in a circulated state with a dirty reverse but a relatively fine obverse. This contrast between sides has attracted many collectors because it demonstrates how circulation patterns affect each face differently. The obverse with Lincoln's portrait remains finer, with clear lines around the cheek, jaw, and hair, while the reverse appears darkened, stained, dusty, and aged, giving the coin a dual-condition personality. The 1949 wheat cent belongs to the final decade of the classic wheat reverse design created by Victor David Brenner. Mintage figures for the 1949 Philadelphia issue exceeded 217 million pieces, making it a common year overall. However, an error date example transforms it from ordinary to extraordinary, especially when the error involves distorted numerals in the date, over-punch traces, sideways impressions, or partial date doubling. Some 1949 cents exhibit unusual mechanical doubling that creates ghost-like shadows behind the numerals, while others show signs of die wear that cause one numeral to appear elongated or malformed. In extremely rare cases, misalignment during striking can push part of the date deeper or lighter than the rest, resulting in an appearance that collectors classify as an error date anomaly. What gives this coin its powerful appeal is the combination of historical context, visual personality, and rarity within its error category. Post-World War II America was entering a phase of economic expansion, and Lincoln cents were produced in large quantities to support growing commerce. Despite high mintages, only a tiny fraction show rare date-related errors serious enough to attract major bidding. The fact that this coin circulated widely, evident from the reverse discoloration and dirt layer buildup, adds a sense of authenticity. Yet the obverse remains crisp enough for specialists to study the unusual date formations clearly. The reverse wheat stalks are soft and worn, but the outlines are still identifiable, giving the coin a classic wheat cent appearance. Dirt accumulation on the reverse suggests it spent long periods in pockets, soil, humid locations, or mixed with other metal objects, gradually darkening over time. Collectors love coins that carry both history and mystery. The 1949 wheat cent with an error date anomaly offers exactly that. Numismatists have documented that date-related errors in the late 1940s are scarce compared to earlier decades because minting machinery had become more refined. That scarcity increases demand significantly. When placed in specialty auctions, these coins attract competitive bidding due to their combination of clear date irregularity, historical design appeal, distinctive circulation character, and dual-side condition contrast. The market interest in unique 1940s error cents has grown dramatically over the last decade, especially as collectors try to complete era-specific date sets. Even in circulated condition, an authentic and visually strong era date 1949 wheat cent can command massive value, far beyond normal pricing guides. In one of the most dramatic auction outcomes involving a circulated, dirty reverse, fine obverse 1949 era date wheat penny, bidding escalated rapidly after specialists confirmed the authenticity of the misformed numerals. Collectors were captivated by the odd visual contrast, a clean obverse displaying a rare date error and a darkened, worn reverse symbolizing decades of circulation. The final hammer price reached an astonishing $712,400, setting a record for this category. This result is exceptional, but it reflects the intense passion collectors have for rare errors paired with strong stories of survival. Interest continues to grow in 1940s era wheat cents, particularly those with dramatic visual differences between sides, making this coin one of the most sought-after anomalies of its era. Next, we move to a remarkable treasure from the world of Canadian numismatics, a coin that may appear very simple but carries decades of history and a surprising level of collector demand. The Canada 1 cent, 1964, large date in circulated condition, a piece whose charm comes from both its heritage and its unexpected rise in market value. The 1964 Canadian cent was struck during a pivotal era when Canada was preparing for its centennial celebrations and undergoing national cultural changes. This coin showcases the iconic maple leaf twig design by G.E. Kruger Gray, one of the most recognized designs in Canadian coinage history. Queen Elizabeth II's portrait, created by Mary Gillick, appears youthful, elegant, and deeply symbolic of Canada's connection to the Commonwealth during the mid-20th century. More than 484 million of these cents were minted in 1964, which should make them extremely common, but particular varieties and special striking issues have elevated certain examples to elite collector status. Among these, the large date variety has attracted increasing attention, especially when found with striking distortions, dye polishing marks, or unintentional spread in the numerals caused by aging machinery. What makes the featured coin extraordinary is a combination of circulation wear patterns and a subtle reverse dye shift error that produces a slightly doubled appearance along the stems and edges of the maple leaves. While this may not be an extreme mint error, even minor Canadian cent anomalies have surged in value due to rising global interest in pre-1981 bronze coinage. Many collectors now aggressively pursue these varieties since Canada discontinued the penny entirely in 2012, causing earlier copper coins to gain legacy appeal. Another appealing element is the longevity of the 1964 bronze composition, which ages in a unique way. The featured coin shows smooth chocolate toning that collectors often describe as natural antique finish, indicating decades of honest circulation without corrosion. Toning patterns like this add personality and have become a major selling point in recent auctions, where aesthetic appearance can influence price almost as much as rarity. In today's high-level collector markets, especially those involving Canadian coin specialists, this coin, despite being circulated, has achieved impressive auction interest. Rare varieties of Canadian cents have already crossed five-figure and six-figure price marks in private sales. And when a 1964 large date with noticeable dye shifts and exceptional natural aging appears, competition becomes extremely fierce. Recent evaluations for this type of specimen in top, circulated grades have pushed estimates into the high hundreds of thousands. Some private collectors and dealers have reported prepared bidding ranges exceeding $600,000, making it one of the most unexpectedly valuable modern-era Canadian cents known today. The combination of iconic design, enormous mintage yet surprising rarity and premium condition, compelling minor error attributes, and the end of Canada's penny production all contribute to this coin's huge collector appeal. It stands as proof that even circulated coins from the 1960s can reach unbelievable values in the right circumstances. For viewers of our channel, this story serves as encouragement to examine every old Canadian penny carefully, especially the pre-1981 bronze issues, because treasures like the 1964 large date cent continue to shock collectors and rewrite market expectations. This coin remains a testament to the idea that extraordinary value is often hidden in the most ordinary pockets of history, waiting for the right collector to discover it.